All right, what's up, my friends? I hope you're doing great today. I apologize for the lack of being able to connect with Dr. Richard Massey. We're going to have him on the show today, and unfortunately, we just could not get it to work. So I really apologize, my friends. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world and whatever you're up to. I appreciate you guys being here, and I wanted to share a few things with you when it comes to the times that we're living in right now and what we have going on facing all of us American citizens and things like that. So let me just see if we're on YouTube. So I'm going to guys, and I'm also going to go in the chat room and see if we can't hang out together. And I got a lot to share with you. So let me just turn down the background music real quick. And there we go. Yeah. So, all right. So this is episode 677. And if you want to grab the show notes for today's show, everything will be available at extremehealthradio.com/677. And if you would like to give me a quick call, if you want to be on the show, we have our Skype working at Extreme Health Radio. So if you call on Skype, you should be able to connect, and I should be able to bring you into the show. So we were going to have Dr. Richard Massey on the show and talk about our origin stories and the spiritual, emotional connection to all disease, but we just couldn't get him to connect. We were trying for an hour, and we just couldn't get him to connect. So unfortunately, we have to reschedule him. But I wanted to share with you some things because, as you guys probably know, there's so much going on in the news today, not just for Americans, but globally what's happening with this big C, little v, and lots of different things. So first of all, before we get into all of that, and before we kind of go off the chat room a little bit, I've got some news articles to share with you. I want to talk about minerals and light. I want to talk about putting together a self-care guide. And I want to talk about some other things when it comes to strengthening our health and not being afraid of any viruses and things like that, and or not looking for a savior to come save us in the form of a president or anybody like that. So lots to get to, but before we do, I want to share with you some issue we're having with our iTunes lately. So many of you guys are subscribed on iTunes, and we had some real issues with iTunes lately, and I don't know why. All of a sudden, our feed just stopped working for some reason. And so if you were subscribed on iTunes, you weren't getting any new shows. So the way it works is that all of our shows are on Friday mornings, like this Friday morning at 10:45 Pacific. And what we do is we broadcast and stream those as long as YouTube and Facebook will have us. We broadcast those live on Friday morning so guys can watch the video. But then that audio version typically gets put on iTunes on Sunday evening Pacific time. So for some reason, that's been really messed up the last couple of weeks. So we finally got that to be fixed. So if you're subscribed on iTunes, please do us a favor and leave us a rating and review. I would really appreciate that. That would be really helpful. Just take a second and just give us a 5-star rating, and I would be so pumped if you would do that. That would be really, really helpful. That would be great. So that should all be working now. Your feed should be updated. And I just want to go through some of those shows that we have done in the past couple of weeks that have been probably updating on iTunes. So we did a show about my mom's cancer diagnosis, which was the whole reason why I got into natural health to begin with. And then we had episode 663 with Tyler LeBaron. And we talked about hydrogen for your health. This substance, hydrogen, is incredible. It's an incredible substance. We also have it on the AquaCure machine. It's a Brown's gas, and it's a step up from hydrogen. But basically, it is the premier antioxidant of the body, and it reduces oxidative stress all over the body. And it actually goes into the DNA and to the mitochondria. It's so small. I think it's 400 times smaller than vitamin C and 800 or 600 times smaller than CoQ10. So when you breathe this gas, it has the ability to go places in the body that other substances simply can't go because of their molecular size. And it also has the ability to enter into the DNA and repair DNA damage. So this is incredible substance that we have access to. And we talked with Tyler LeBaron on that, episode 663. And then let's see some other highlights of recent shows. Dr. David Christopher, how your cholesterol lowering medication and high blood pressure drugs are killing you. That was a good show. So David Christopher is an herbalist. We had him on a show a couple years ago, and we talked about cholesterol lowering medication and high blood pressure drugs and what they're doing to your body, which is crazy, crazy, crazy. I mean, if people really knew the drugs they take and the side effects of those drugs, I think it would just be game over. But for some reason, I think people don't realize what these drugs are doing to their physiology, what they're doing to their iron levels, to their ceruloplasmin, which carries copper, which what it's doing to their DNA. And these drugs are damaging on so many levels. And people call them like, oh, these are the side effects of the drugs. But they're not side effects, guys. They're the effects of the drugs. They just want you to believe they're side effects. So that was a good show with Dr. David Christopher. And then we had Dr. John Bergman, the real reason for high blood pressure. He was in studio in that one. That was really cool. Non-communicable diseases, vaccine dangers, and how to clean and heal the arteries, cholesterol. We took a bunch of listener questions. And what's interesting about that show is that we were talking about all of this, I think, back in 2017. And it's amazing how much, I mean, do you guys feel like the world has changed so dramatically in 6 months? I mean, it's a different world out there than it was even 6 months ago. This show was a couple years ago, and it's incredible what's happening to our world so quickly. And then we had episode 569, our unexpected, emotional, and crazy birth story. So, oh my gosh, for those that don't know, my wife Kate gave birth to twin boys about 2.5 years ago, and we shared that whole story. So we were going to have a home birth, but things went a little unexpectedly. And we ended up in doing something we didn't really want to do. So check out episode 569. That was a cool show. These are all shows that you probably have missed. And then we had Dr. Edward Condrot talking about powerful eye solutions for macular degeneration, glaucoma, and other eye issues as well. And you know what? It's so crazy about this whole thing is like, when you look at, like, Dr. Condrat's a natural ophthalmologist, right? He's a natural eye doctor. But what's so fascinating about all these things is previous to that, we had Dr. Steven Sinatra, who's a natural heart doctor. And then there's another guy out there who's been on the show, the natural or the paleocardiologist. I mean, it's amazing to me that there's people out there that specialize in areas of health, like the eyes, like the heart, like cancer, and they're natural-based people. And you just don't hear about, this. People just think that if they have heart disease, they have to take drugs. If they have cancer, they have to take chemotherapy. I mean, it's nuts. And then so Deborah Lynn Dad was on 5 powerful strategies for detoxifying your entire home. Steven Sinatra, how to prevent heart attacks and heart disease, plus his top 5 supplements for heart health. And then Naisha Winters, Dr. Naisha Winters, we will not find the cure for cancer as long as we continue to wage war against it. Episode 544. That was a cool show. Dr. Winters is awesome. I like her a lot. And then that takes us all the way back to 674 with Daniel Vitalis, how to reconnect to nature through the cycles of life, through wild food. And this is something that's been taken away from us quite dramatically, is this connection to nature. As you can imagine, we're no longer eating wild food. We don't even know what wild food is most of the time, right? We don't even know what it means to eat wild food, or we don't even understand what it means to eat food from hybridized animals, of animals that didn't exist on Earth until man created them. We don't even know what that means. And so Daniel Vitalis has got a whole new thing called Wild Fed, and he essentially goes out into nature and procures his food, whether it's acorns or whether it's plants or animals or hunting. And he goes out and has a whole show about this. And Daniel Vitalis is a cool guy. I like him a lot. And we support him through our store, Biocharge Me. And we have a lot of his products on there. We have the colostrum. We have, the elk velvet antler. We have the pine pollen, both of which are really amazing for your hormones as you get older. And so a lot of cool stuff that he's doing, and we like supporting him and his work as well. So that was a cool show. That was episode 674 of Extreme Health Radio. So it seems to me like the iTunes thing is working so far. It seems like we got kicked off of Spotify, but then we got back. I wrote into them and kind of protested, and it sounds like I think we're back on Spotify. And so what's amazing to me is this idea of censorship that's happening around the world and in big tech platforms. And for you guys, you probably don't see it as much, but as a content creator, it's so evident, and it's so apparent what's happening is that they're trying to shut down voices of people like us who give you alternatives. And so what the mainstream doesn't want you to know is that you don't have to be afraid of anything, because that's the whole narrative of the mainstream media, is to get you to be afraid. And then once they can hijack your emotions like that, then they can get you to do anything, right? So this is sort of the protocol that the mainstream media uses through big tech as well, is to make you constantly afraid of the next boogeyman, constantly afraid of the next virus, murder hornets, right? All these things that we're supposed to just be afraid of. And oddly enough, these are only things that the government themselves or big pharmaceutical companies themselves have answers to, right? It's never something that you can fix on your own. It's only can be solved through government intervention, which is so interesting, right? So, if there's a solution of a fear that you can get on your own, that won't be propagandized in the media. It's only going to be something that there's only one solution for, and the government magically has that. So in this case, with the big C, little v, it's a vaccine, right? You got to get the vaccine. The vaccine's going to come. The vaccine, they just reported, Pfizer said that it has a 90% effectiveness rate, right? Okay, 90% effectiveness of what? Transferring the virus, of lowering your chances of dying, of mitigating symptoms, and have they isolated the virus? Have they used Koch's postulates and isolated this virus so that they can actually determine what's actually causing disease? No, they haven't. They just keep coming out with more information that contradicts itself. And if anybody is still believing that this thing is a real thing, there's nothing we can do for you. I'm sorry, but if you're not looking at the evidence, and you're not looking at this thing and looking at all the contradictory information coming out of the WHO, coming out of Dr. Fauci's mouth, flip-flopping, studies from the CDC showing unequivocally that less than 6% of people have actually died with no comorbidities. An average of 2.6 comorbidities are associated with people who have died. And so that leaves less than 10,000 people have actually died with only coronavirus. But now that doesn't even mean that the coronavirus was the actual cause of death. But that doesn't even presuppose that there is such a thing as coronavirus at all. If you look at the work of Dr. Andrew Kaufman, he's saying there's no such thing. So there's so much evidence out there on the table now. And like I always say on the show, it's, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. If you want to continue to be afraid, that's fine. If you want to continue to think that the government is out to help you and going to give you a vaccine, that's fine if you want to do that. But like I said, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. And you can choose to be afraid of this thing, or you can choose to look at the science, the actual science, and realize that this is a paper tiger. There's nothing to this thing. It's a common cold. And a lot of people are going to say, well, I know someone that died from it and blah, blah, blah. But again, association is not causation, right? Just because something is associated with this thing doesn't mean it's the causative factor of dying. Dr. Fauci said just recently, oh gosh, what did he say? He said just recently, I lost my train of thought. It was something to do with the PCR test. Oh yeah, it was this idea of the PCR test. So many of you guys know the inventor of the PCR test, named Kary Mullis. Oddly and strangely enough, said a while back that the PCR test itself, which is what they're using to test for this big C little v, the PCR test itself isn't an accurate way to determine a cause of death or viral pathology at all. So his own test that they're using, he came out and said that this is not a legitimate test to be using to determine if someone has big C little v. The inventor of the PCR test itself, and if this is your first time hearing this, it's not, I mean, it's out there. You can go look. I have the quote inside our Extreme Health Academy. We have a whole truth about coronavirus section where we archive a lot of this data. And there's a quote from Dr. Kerry Mullis himself, saying just that this test is not designed to show, it's not even FDA approved. This PCR test is not designed to show if someone actually has this big C little v. Okay, so there's that issue. So the test itself is not even legitimate, right? But then the way they do that test is that they use this thing called cycles, and it's a magnification basically. And you know that whole thing where they say, would you rather someone give you $1 million, or would you rather get a penny on day one and you have 30 days and you get to double that every day for 30 days? And the majority of people say, oh, I'd rather have the $1 million, right? But if you take a penny and double it for 30 days, I think at the end you have around $4 million, which is crazy after 30 days, right? So this PCR test is essentially the same thing. It's a magnification system as far as I understand it. And under 30 magnifications, you start getting into the millions of magnifications for looking at this virus. So the standard is less than 30. But Dr. Fauci said that anything above 35 is going to show dead, what was the word he used? Not exosomes, but dead nucleotides. So, and he said period. So anything over 35 is going to show that. They're using anywhere from 37 to 45 cycles, which is giving people almost 100% false positive rate. And so when you start looking at all the overwhelming amounts of evidence, and that's not even counting if you assume this big C little v thing is real, that's not assuming, or that's not even counting into or coming into play this idea that you can kill these things with oregano, with silver, right? With high dose IV vitamin C therapy. Dr. Frederick Klenner in the 1930s was using high-dose IV vitamin C therapy and ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy to kill viruses. Not just kill viruses, but bringing kids who were so far gone, they were already in a coma, on their way out. They were unconscious in a coma. And he was doing high-dose IV vitamin C therapy and literally bringing kids back from the dead who were dying from viral infections, as far as we can tell, in the 1930s. But you won't hear about this because they want you to think that the only game in town is a vaccine that's going to be an RNA vaccine. If you want to learn more about what's actually going to be in that vaccine, listen to our show with Sophia Smallstorm a while back, and it's basically a software program they're going to be injecting into you, which is not good, guys. So don't get the flu vaccine. Don't get the coronavirus vaccine. We're probably going to be banned for this one, right? So that's the whole MO of the mainstream media, of government, of big tech, is to get you to feel afraid about these things, and to feel like you have no power, you're weak, you're scared, and you're fearful. And when you're in that state, you're easily controllable, easily manipulated, easily controllable. But what our goal here is to not just shed actual real science-based light on what's going on, which is basically, it's a non-issue. Not just that, but then sharing with you that even if it is an issue, we have alternatives that have been proven through science to work and to be more effective than whatever vaccine they're going to throw at you. So that's kind of my, that's why we do what we do, right? So those were some of the shows that we did a while back on Extreme Health Radio. So you guys can, if you are subscribed on iTunes, you get a show every single day. And then on Sunday night, we have the new episodes available for you. So that's kind of what's going on. And if you're subscribed there on iTunes, you should be getting those every single day. And we're a little bit late because we had this issue. So we have 2 new shows that we haven't released yet on iTunes, and so we're a couple weeks behind. So what I'm going to be doing is releasing those 2 latest shows in the next couple days, and so by next Sunday we should be all caught up. So we're broadcasting on November 13th, 2020. So the next few days you should get some new episodes on your iTunes. So I just want to let you guys know about that. Oh my gosh. So if you guys enjoy this show, please share it with your friends. I would really appreciate that. Share our work with your people on Instagram, on Facebook. I would really appreciate that. That would be really, really great. So the other thing I wanted to share with you about is the self-care guide that I put together inside our Extreme Health Academy. Now, we've been getting a lot of people that have been asking about this and about having a plan for how to take care of yourself. So many of you guys probably know that I am exposed to so many types of information, different protocols, different health practices you could do, different tools and biohacks and things like that, that I'm exposed to all the time. Everything from PEMF therapy to light therapy to rebounding to sauna to using right frequencies. And there's so many things you could do. And that's not counting actual practices you could do, like castor oil packs or coffee enemas or these types of things. And so over the years, we've had people ask me, like, what do you do to stay healthy? Do you have a plan? Are there things you do? And, for the longest time, I've always been someone who's worked out. So I've always worked out since I was in my late teens. And so it's always been something that I do. And so, for anybody that works out on a regular basis, you usually have a weekly guide or plan that you work out. And so if you talk to people that are in the gym and you ask them when you work out, all of them will say, oh, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or I work out Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or I work out Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, or something like that. There's always a plan. And I realize that not a lot of people have a plan like that for their health. People do that for their workout and their fitness, which, in a roundabout way does affect your health. But there's things you could do on a regular basis, like, bath hydrotherapy, using baths in medicinal ways, right? Getting a regular massage, doing a blood donation, doing rebounding, doing a sauna, doing light therapy. So what do we do? Like, how do we put that all together in a way where you can look at the calendar and you say, okay, it's Tuesday. What do I do today? Like, for example, today's Friday. It's my workout day. So, I know at some point today I have to work out. And so, by the way, if you guys are regular workout people like I am, I would really recommend taking this time and quitting your gym, because working out in a gym is incredibly good for your fitness, bad for your health. And the reason for that is non-native EMFs that are going to be rampant in gyms, and then blue light that you're going to be exposed to in the gym, not counting the toxins that they use to wipe down the equipment. And if you have to wear a mask in a gym, it's not good. So now is the time to invest in maybe a home gym situation. And a couple years ago, I did that. So we kind of, converted our garage into a gym. So I got a squat rack and I got all my weights and stuff. And I have a treadmill in there and a jump rope and all this stuff, in the gym. And so now I work out in full spectrum sunlight. And I get to listen to podcasts, which I love to do, and learn as much as I can. I get to work out on my own schedule. I don't have to drive anywhere. There's no toxic chemicals. I don't have to wait for someone to be done with a weight bench. I can get right on the things. I can do it in half the time because there's no drive. There's no waiting. And it's just an incredible thing to do, to be able to. And you're in full spectrum sun, breathing fresh air. So this is like one of the best reasons to invest in a home gym situation. So anyway, today's my workout day. So today I'll be working out, and, but there's all these other practices that we could do. And so I've recently put together a self-care guide. And so that includes everything from taking medicinal baths, using certain specific protocols of substances that you can put in your bath to help with your health. And inside the academy, we talk about this, how to use baths in a medicinal way. But also like inversion therapy, traction therapy, castor oil packs, coffee enemas, right? Colon cleanses. Are you guys doing those? These types of things, things for your liver. And all of these types of things. I have a rebounder. I have a rice machine. I have a Brown's gas machine. I have a PEMF mat that I lay on a couple times a week. And so what I did is I put together this self-care guide inside the Extreme Health Academy. And basically, it has a weekly calendar and a yearly calendar, and it takes you through what I do daily, every single day to take care of my health, because I was realizing that when I was, before we had kids, I was able to do a lot of this every single day, like saunas. I was able to do saunas every day because there was no kids around. I could, make sure I did whatever I wanted whenever I wanted, right? So now we have two twin boys, 2.5 years old, and there's just I have to schedule things out. Let's put it like that. So this allows you to sort of take my guide and use it as something that you could do. And so you can, if you have a sauna, if you have a rebounder, if you have some workout equipment, there's lots of things you can do. Everything from oil pulling to skin brushing, all of this stuff I put in there. All these daily habits that you do. So I put together this guide. So now you can say, hey, it's January. What am I doing? Oh, I'm doing a blood donation this month. Men should do blood donations 4 times a year, according to the root cause protocol, because of the accumulation and the bioaccumulation of iron in our bodies. And men, as Morley says, we are iron magnets. So this iron gets stored in our tissues. And the only real way to dump iron is through regular blood donations. And many of you guys know about the iron fortification program that happened in 1941, and then they doubled it in 1969, essentially adding iron filings into our food. So if you look up on YouTube, you can look in like cereal and iron filings, and you can see people using magnets that attract pieces essentially of cereal. And so regular blood donations is probably one of the most beneficial things you can do for your health. And that's free, and so I recently learned, though, that the Red Cross is now testing for Big C, Little V. So inside the academy, I shared a link of a mobile phlebotomist in my area, but they're nationwide as well, that you can get it done. You have to pay to get it done, but to me, it's worth it. It's if you look at the studies they've shown, Morley often says that people who are regular donators of blood live longer across the board. So it's a longevity kind of habit to get into. So men should donate 4 times a year at the change of every season. Premenopausal women, it's recommended twice a year, and postmenopausal women to follow the men 4 times a year. So the self-care guide essentially says, oh, it's January. What am I going to do? Oh, I'm doing a parasite cleanse on January. Okay. Oh, it's February. Oh, I do a blood donation in February. And so it walks you through 4 basic cleanses. And I'm not really calling them cleanses because cleanses, I'm not a big fan of cleanses in general, but they're more supportive things that you can do. And I get into that inside the forums and stuff. But it essentially walks you through. So it's really nice to have something where you can just look at the month, you can look at the day and say, oh, here's what I got going on. And it might take you 20 minutes to put together a plan, but now you have a framework that you can build around your life and say, okay, it's January, I'm doing this. It's February, I'm doing that. It's Thursday, I'm doing this. Maybe you do cardio, maybe you do a yoga class, or maybe you do meditation, or maybe you do, something free like oil pulling 2 days a week, and you can put together a little program for yourself. And I can't advocate for that enough, because if you don't, it's like that famous quote that says, what gets measured gets managed. So it's really important to put together a plan for your health, because like I mentioned before, having the default state of health is incredibly sick for yourself. Cancer is on the rise. 1 out of every 2 men and women are now diagnosed with cancer. It's a 50% across the board chance of being diagnosed at some point in your life with cancer if you're born after 1960. And the numbers are continuing to climb. Alzheimer's is on the rise. Autoimmune diseases are on the rise. Digestive issues are on the rise. Heart disease is on the rise. Heart attacks are on the rise. And this is the default state of our health. And so if you want what everybody else has, just keep doing what everybody else is doing, right? That's the famous quote. So if you want, the same kind of health that your parents have, or your brother has, or your older cousin has, then just do what they do. Because people think, it's never going to happen to me. I don't need to worry. It's never going to happen to me, right? But it will. And you cannot violate nature. And you cannot violate the laws that God set up through nature. You just can't do it. It's just not going to happen. And so because we've altered our environment so much since the late 1800s and even more in recent times, because our environment is so toxic, our bodies are correctly adapting to that, right? So if a fish is sick in the tank, do you change its diet or do you change the water it's swimming in? So the water is our environment. And I take environment really to mean internal and external environment. There's much more to just the environment than, where you work and where you live. It's your internal environment too. And both our internal and external environment is so toxic, guys. If you're watching the news, if you're constantly watching the mainstream media or listening to mainstream media in any way, your internal environment is going to be toxic. There's just no way around it. If you're reading books and magazines, if you're around friends that are negative, your internal environment is going to be toxic. People don't think about that. They just think about the food they're putting in their body, but it's actually a lot more than that. So take a look at your internal environment and see if there's any way to clean that up through not letting in and being really conscientious about what you let in. Super, super important. And that comes in many forms: friends, family, toxic relationships, toxic jobs. These types of things are really, really toxic. And then you have our external environment. And that is, where we spend our time. 90% of our time is spent indoors. So your work environment, where you live, our environment's sick. And we're ionizing our entire atmosphere and troposphere. This is the goal, is to make us live not just in electrified cages as in homes and working environments and cars, but our entire environment outside is electrified. It's being ionized. And as a result of that, our DNA and our mitochondria are screaming, trying to figure out what the heck we're living in. So this is why it's really important. Like, we have to have a strategy. We have to have a plan for what we're going to do, because like I said, if you don't do anything, you can't just assume that, so-and-so in our family lived till he was 85 and he was fine. I believe that God has us all here for a purpose, and we're not supposed to be sick, and we're not supposed to be pretending like we could just violate nature and God's law and be fine with it. So this is what the self-care guide. So if you guys want access to the self-care guide, you can check it out. It's inside the Extreme Health Academy. I would highly recommend getting that and utilizing it and just taking it and making it part of your own, so that you can put together your own little program. And then we have a link at the bottom of that to continue the conversation. So if you guys have any questions about the products that I use, the biohacks that I use, anything more about where I get this stuff and what I do, there's links down there in the forum section, and then we can go through all of that, and I can share different things that I'm doing on a regular basis. So let me take a look and see if you guys are, I think you guys are chatting in the forum there. Wow, lots of cool people here. Dr. Ace, so great to see you guys. This is cool. Darren, nice. Sarita, Jenna, is the Rife GB4000 good? Yeah, so we had, there's two people that I rely on for this type of information. Dr. Nina Silver was on our show years ago, and she put together the Rife Handbook. And I really trust her. She does so much research into Rife technology and different types of protocols as well. And she's a big proponent of that GB4000. She doesn't sell it, so that's kind of cool. And Dr. Gerald Smith was just recently on the show, and she and he sells it. So yeah, that's pretty good. He sells it, but he can't say a thing about it. Dr. Nina Silver doesn't sell it, so she can talk about it. So funny, right? Do you guys ever wonder, like, it's so interesting how the government treats us like we're little children, don't they? Because in my opinion, if you know, we can't make any health claims really about supplements. We can't make any health claims about tools. We can't use the C word, right? We can't do any of these things because, I mean, really it's protecting profits from pharmaceutical industry. I mean, we all know that, right? But what's interesting is like, you know, they don't allow us to use those words, although they can use those words because they control language, right? So, I would rather have a society in which we can all just say what we want, you know, like caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, right? Let us all just, you know, if there's a salesman who's slick and slimy and tells you that this can cure that and this will do that, you know, let him say that so that we can actually, you know, do our own research. Because my thing is caveat emptor, let people make their own decisions. We're not children, right? Let's do our own research. We have the internet. We can go and verify people's claims and we can make educated decisions in our world today, right? So, but the government wants us to think that like, you know, they're looking out for our best interests and blah, blah, blah. But I say, you know what? Let's just all make informed decisions. And if we get swindled, that's on us, right? If we make a decision and, you know, some guy is saying that this is going to cure blindness or whatever, and we believe him, and we buy his product and it doesn't work, then, oh, well, you know, that's on us, right? It's not the government's job to tell us what we, you know, can get access to. So, okay. So my mom brought the Sedona PEMF mat. Cool. Jenna, that's awesome. Wonder if she likes it. Yeah, I have the IMRS PEMF mat. So yeah, so like I mentioned before, guys, join down below the Extreme Health Academy, and at least you can get access to this self-care guide. And I went to it. It's a daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly guide I put together so that you can you know, build out your own self-care guide. And you can take my, you know, what I do, and then you can kind of make it your own. So, oh my gosh, you guys are talking about some cool stuff in the chat room. Okay, but we got to take a little break right now because I have so much to get to. So I hope you guys are enjoying the show. If you guys want to call up after the break on Skype, Extreme Health Radio, we'll see if we can get you on the show. And if you have any questions, you want to chit chat or talk or whatever, that would be really, really cool. And so let me bring up something that I am a big fan of, and this is my Relax Sauna. So let me bring this up on the show so you guys can take a look at it. If you guys look, it's the Relax Far Infrared Sauna, and there it is right there on the show. If you guys are watching on the video, and you can see it there, it's a portable sauna, and it's just, to me, like I was in there last night for 35 minutes, just sweating buckets of sweat, and it is just an amazing tool. My goodness, I'm telling you guys, it's like this thing, to have this at your house is such a powerful tool, but it's so amazing that you can actually get in this thing and actually sweat out toxins and heavy metals and things like this. So here's my biological dentist, Dr. Stuart Nunley, talking about this. So he was, you guys might not know, Dr. Stuart Nunley. If you're looking for a biological dentist, healthysmilesforlife.com. Go visit him. He's like Dr. Bergman. He gets people visiting him from around the world. He's, in my opinion, the best biological dentist in the world. We drive with our kids from California to Texas just to see him. An amazing guy. But he, I think, was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease because for much of his dental practice, he didn't realize that removing mercury amalgam fillings without protection was dangerous. He didn't realize that. So he was doing this over the years, and he started getting sick. Like he was almost in a wheelchair. And listen to his story about how he overcame that.
You know what I chose to do? I chose to go very, very slow as I detox. So one of the things that I did is I invested in an infrared sauna, which was huge. That was a big, big part of my healing because, interestingly enough, many times patients who have heavy metal toxicity lose the ability to sweat. And so I was one of those. I could not break a sweat. And the infrared sauna helped me to retrain my body to be able to sweat. It was a huge part of my overall detox.
Doesn't Dr. Huggins say, as long as there's more going out than what's coming in, you're okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right on that.
Yeah, guys, he's super cool. Check out Dr. Robert Young talking about this as well.
You mentioned the sauna. The reason why we go into the sauna is to induce a fever. Because when we induce a fever, our pores open to remove these acidic toxins. The reason why we jump on a rebounder is to activate the lymphatic system to remove acids out through the pores of the skin, which is the largest elimination organ of the body. So we do this on a daily basis. And this is when you enjoy the greatest level of health and vitality. Take your money and invest in yourself and educate yourself and take care of your bodies. Go buy a rebounder, go buy a infrared sauna, go buy organically non-GMO'd food. That's your healthcare plan.
That's so true. And this is something I want to get into because we talked a little bit about this in our Extreme Health Academy live call this morning with our Academy members. Every Friday morning we have a live call. We kind of chit chat and just share stories and inspiration and some of the latest research we've talked about and learned about all that's going on. And we answer questions as well as a group. And so this is something I want to talk about after the break. But consider getting one of these saunas, guys. I'm telling you, this is one of the best health investments you can make. Most saunas are going to be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, sometimes even more. And we sell those on our store, Biocharge Me. We sell like the ozone sauna. We sell the near-infrared light saunas. We sell the fancy wood ones. But in my opinion, this is the one I use and I recommend. I love this thing. It's portable. You can break it down. It's very, very low EMF. You can loan it to a friend. You don't have to break down a whole wall to get it. And you can easily set it up in minutes. It uses far infrared light, which penetrates deep into the tissue matrix, all the way down to your bones. And I think it gets up to about 170 degrees, but what it's doing is it's heating you up at the core level. It's actually heating the tissues of your body, and oscillating those fat cells to release those toxins is incredible. And you'll start sweating in a matter of minutes. I'm telling you, it's super, super cool. And then the other thing I like to do, and I do this 5 days a week, is the Joovv red light therapy device. I haven't talked about this recently, and it's something that I do every 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And it's a 10-minute session that you do. And let me play a little clip from our friend and mineral expert, Morley Robbins. I love him and his work, and listen to what he talks about.
What people need to understand is that the red light, it's basically an electronic crutch for copper. Copper inside our body, inside that mitochondrial enzyme, is creating red light. That's how the cells communicate with each other. The cellular communication, they're talking to each other, and they communicate with light, and they like red light. Red light is a very healthy form of light. That red light is what prevents oxidative stress from building inside the mitochondria. Red light therapy is very important, but I think what people need to understand is that it's especially important for bodies that have low bioavailable copper, which most people have today. People don't realize how deficient we are in minerals in general, but especially in these two minerals that are particularly important, magnesium and copper. It's a great crutch to have that source of red light.
And something else I've been learning recently too is that in our mitochondrial matrix, we actually make water. And what this red light is doing is it's one of the things it's doing so many things at the DNA and at the mitochondrial level, but what it's doing is allowing the water inside that matrix to become less viscous. So it's allowing, if you guys understand what that fourth phase of water that Dr. Gerald Pollack talks about, basically it's structuring the water within ourselves. And so what's fascinating about this is that we often think about the matrix of the water we drink, but this is actually structuring the water within our bodies itself, and not just structuring the water we drink, but actually structuring our own water and allowing that fourth phase of water to be created inside our mitochondria, which is an incredible thing. But red light therapy is amazing for not just ATP production and energy production in the mitochondria, but also increasing the electron chain transport in the mitochondrial membrane and allowing those electrons to pass over those 5 stages that it has to get to in order to make ATP in the mitochondria, and it allows the mitochondria to make more water, and it increases your body's ability to deal with poor lighting that we have. It's definitely not a replacement for the sun. Nothing can replace the sun. I mean, there's no red light therapy device that even comes close. But what it's good for is repairing the sun damage or acne-related skin damage. It helps to increase collagen in the tissue. So it's really great for women to use on their face and to increase collagen production in the body. It's really great for muscle recovery, for peak performance with scars and wrinkles, stretch marks. It helps to speed up wound healing So if you have a broken bone or a surgery, or if you have an injury of any kind, a red light therapy could be incredibly beneficial for that, as well as anti-aging, and it reduces inflammation of the joints. It increases blood flow and decreases inflammation, reduces rosacea and skin-related issues. It's great for burns and hair growth. I mean, red light therapy is quickly becoming the go-to guide. So we like the Joovv red light therapy device. If you guys are interested in purchasing one of these devices, just go to biochargeme.com and check out the light section of our store. You can pick up one of these devices, which I highly recommend. Like I said, I do it, 5 days a week on Monday through Friday. So make sure to check out those. And if you guys want to check it out on our store here, or our show page for this particular episode, everything I'll put available at extremehealthradio.com/677, which is the show for today's particular, or show page for today's show. All right, so I want to hang out in the chat room a little bit, but I want to talk with you guys about boycotting right after this.
You're listening to Extreme Health Radio, and I hope you're enjoying this show. Please share it with your friends by tagging at Extreme Health Radio on Instagram. Stay tuned for new shows weekly.
Yeah, come and follow us on Instagram, guys. That would be awesome. We're kind of more active there than we are on Facebook right now, or Twitter. I don't really do much with Twitter at all. But come and join us on there, and you can keep up to date with everything that we have going on our show. There I am rebounding. But I do it in the light outside, and so this is what's really important. So come follow us on Instagram and tag us if you can. If you're listening to a show, put us in your stories or tag Extreme Health Radio. I would really appreciate that. That would be a great way to help support the growth of the show and getting this word out to more people. So I want to get to minerals and a little bit touching on the root cause protocol and some basic, simple things you could do to move the needle of your health and what that actually looks like on a practical level. And I want to get into magnesium and the different kinds of magnesium here. I don't have much time left, but quickly before that, I want to kind of continue this discussion that we're having in our Extreme Health Academy this morning about the difference between tactic and strategy. And so I was listening to a recent podcast with a former guest of ours, G. Edward Griffin. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to call up on Skype, give me a call and I'll see if we can kind of get you in the show and we can kind of have a chat. So if you want to talk about anything we talked about today, or if you have any questions about the self-care guide, or if you have any questions about minerals, I might be able to answer them. I don't have all the answers, obviously. I don't think anybody does, but maybe we can hash them through things and talk about what's going on with you. So, or if you want to talk at all about what's going on with all the craziness that's happening in the world today with the elections and with this big C, little v, do you think Donald Trump's going to get in? Do you think he will not get in? So if you want to call up and chit chat, that'd be cool. I love hearing from you guys. So anyway, in our Extreme Health Academy, we're talking about like what can we do? The difference between tactic and strategy. So you guys know that there's so much happening, right, in our world today. There's just so much going on so many different levels with the big C, little v, with the elections, with all this stuff that's trying to hijack our health and all the stuff that's going on. So what do we do? So many people are thinking, okay, we need to get a little homestead. We need to start growing some of our own food. We need to tighten up that supply chain between us and where our food comes from. And these are all smart things. But what G. Edward Griffin was saying was we need to actually have a strategy. So tactics are like, okay, what can we do on a day-to-day basis? Can we not wear a mask when we go into a store and actually stand up for our rights? Or can we do, grow some food so that we're more self-sustainable? And those are all tactics. But he was saying we're lacking strategy. And a strategy is the culmination of what those tactics will actually bring forth, right? So like in wartime, the tactic is to land on shore, overtake the people that live in a town and take over their town, right? That's what would be considered a tactic in a wartime scenario. But the strategy is what? What's the strategy of overcoming and overtaking that area of land? What is our strategy? Is our strategy simply to keep our head above water and not die and not get a vaccine and play defense the whole time? Or are we going to create a new world? Are we going to make a new society? I think oftentimes about my kids 2.5 years old, what kind of world are they going to grow up in? You know, maybe you have kids. What kind of world are we going to be creating for them? So if you have any ideas on that, share them in the chat, and I'd love to hear what you think. Or call up Extreme Health Radio on Skype, and we might be able to get you on and all of that. So interesting idea, right? Of not just playing defense and not just drowning, but actually creating a better world now than we had before, because they're continuing to program into us that this is the new normal, you know, and none of us accept what the new normal is, because the new normal is built on a house of cards. It's built on a foundation of sand. The new normal is complete lies, right? This is lies that they're telling to us. This is propaganda they're giving to us. And I think that, you know, none of us want a new normal where we're, you know, walking into a store, we have to wear a mask inside and outside of the store, and we have to get vaccinated to go to a, you know, a concert or something. Ticketmaster just released, there's a Billboard article recently where Ticketmaster is talking about that, about how they're slowly going to be implementing this idea that you can't go to any one of their events without showing a vaccine updated, you know, record, so that you can show that you've been tested and you've had the vaccine. Is this the new normal we want? And if not, how are we going to create a new world for ourselves that's built on freedom, that's built on happiness, that's built on potential, that's built on our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Like, what is the new normal? What is the strategy for us to get there? And if you have any ideas about that, I'd love to know. But as far as tactics go, there's a lot of different things that we can do. And a lot of people now are really kind of banding together and protesting certain things. So there's a lot of people out there now that are boycotting Amazon. They're boycotting Fox News. They're boycotting Target. They're boycotting Netflix. They're boycotting all these types of things, and they're reinvesting into their own lives a bit more. And so I'm curious, let me check out over in the chat and see what you guys are talking about in terms of tactics. Like, what are you guys thinking about as far as tactic goes? Oh, Dr. A says, Justin, what's the number to call? So we don't have a number. It's just basically Extreme Health Radio on Skype. That's our little Skype name or whatever. Skype that's owned by Microsoft, controlled by China. But yeah, it's basically Extreme Health Radio on Skype. So if you guys want to give me a call, that'd be cool. Do not accept. It says, Dr. A says in the chat room, they want to charge us 5% tax for people who work at home now. You got to be kidding me. No, you don't have to have an app, Dr. Ace. It's just Skype. So the Skype, maybe there's a Skype app on your phone, I'm guessing, or on your computer. So Jenna says, I say hit them in the wallet whenever possible. So a lot of people, this is kind of the thing, right? In my opinion, we would do better instead of voting for a guy in a $3,000 suit that lives halfway across the country who's promising to make a better life for us. If you're going to vote at all, vote for local elections if you believe voting works. So vote for your local people if you're really buying into this idea that voting works. But better than that, it's better to vote with your dollars and vote with your time and vote by how you live your life. These things are much more powerful than voting for a guy and giving all your power to Donald Trump or to Joe Biden and think they're going to make your world a better world. It's Jenna's saying the local election is so corrupted too. I know that's what I'm saying. But if you're going to vote and you believe voting works, vote locally. That's my opinion. For me, I don't vote for who my next slave master is going to be. I just don't. As you guys can see, this voter fraud that's happening right now is massive, it's insidious, and it's much more robust and powerful, and there's so much more going on than we ever think. So if I'm going to take my own advice here, I didn't vote in this election because, like I said, I don't vote for who my next slave master is going to be. I don't do that. But it does me no good, right, to say that, but then continue taking a pharmaceutical medication, for example. So this is what I was talking to our Academy members today. If you're over the age of 30, 1 out of every 2 Americans, I'm not sure if it's 1 out of 2 or 1 out of every 3, but 1 out of every 2 or 3 Americans is currently taking a pharmaceutical medication if you're over the age of 30. And I would imagine that's even higher if you factor into that, aspirin or Tylenol or NyQuil, these types of things you can get over the counter at your local drugstore. I imagine it's probably close to 100%. So what if, let's say the average person is on 5 medications, for example. If you reduced the amount of medications people are on down to 1, imagine the financial hit that would immediately happen to the pharmaceutical companies. And you guys can see how the pharmaceutical companies right now are hijacking our government. Because this big C, little v fiasco that we're going through right now has nothing to do with health. It has everything to do with political control and power and bringing on this great reset that everyone's talking about, right? So we are crippling and bowing down to the knees of the pharmaceutical industry, who have hijacked the WHO, the CDC, and the NIH, and all of these institutions and these 3-letter agencies that are basically telling our government how to conduct themselves. And our government bows down to them. And so if we simply didn't take medications, I mean, this is one of the most powerful things that we could do. So we recently had a member in our academy, I think it was 2 weeks ago, telling us about how she used to be on, I think, 6 medications. And now she's down to 1. I think she's like 73 years old or something like that. And she's down to 1 medication. She's looking to get off the last one. And this is like, people think, oh, cool, great, that's awesome, right? But this is what she's doing is the crux of what we all need to do in different ways of our life. If we're not taking medications, then we need to do it with other things that we're doing, right? We could all look at every area of our life and figure out a way to stop supporting those companies that are crippling our nation, right? So this lady went from, at 73 years old, from 5 or 6 medications down to 1. If everyone did that and took responsibility for their own health and did some research and figured out how to heal at a deep visceral level and to allow the body to restore its homeostasis, this world would be different. The pharmaceutical industry, I was listening to a radio show a couple of years ago, and this guy, a former executive for one of the pharmaceutical industries, and he was saying that people laugh because they think that there's just a powerful industry, but they have no idea how it works. And he was saying, in terms of the scope of size and political control and power, the pharmaceutical industry makes the oil industry look like kindergarten. He said people have no idea how strong and powerful the pharmaceutical industry as a whole is, bigger than big tech, bigger than oil, by orders of magnitude. And he said people have no idea. And so it's crippling, not just to the people, but it's crippling our government, and that's trickling down into how they think we should live our life, right? So this is what I'm talking about, taking complete responsibility for everything we do. So for you, that could mean, hey, I'm not going to buy on Amazon anymore. For you, it could mean, hey, I'm going to stop going to Target. For you, it might mean, hey, I'm going to stop going to Walmart, or I'm going to stop going to Whole Foods, or I'm going to stop going to whatever company that you use to buy online from. It could mean a lot of different things to each person, and everyone has their own sort of threshold and what they're comfortable with. But I think what we need to do is come together and really look at your life and say, who am I supporting by buying this? Is there a way I could support someone else? Like if you are going to go and shop on Amazon, for example, here's what I would suggest. If you don't have a problem with that, and if you don't have a problem with that, that's fine. We all have things that I think are going to be triggers for us to work on. Okay. So, right now we're slowly going to be moving off of Amazon, right? But if you are going to shop on Amazon, go to our website and support our work. So click over to Amazon from our website, Personally, I'm going to be moving away from Amazon over time. It's going to take some time because we buy all these little things on Amazon, right? Like little things to put on your door so that the kids don't smash their fingers. You can buy so many different things on Amazon, and it's a great service. It's an amazing service, all in one, fast shipping. But why do I want to support Jeff Bezos when I can support someone who actually cares about our kids' health, right? Or our health if we buy supplements there. So, but if you are going to do it, in the meantime, go through people like us. There's other radio shows that have an Amazon link. You can go through their link and support their work. Do something good with it. If you're going to buy a computer, right, or an iPhone, for example, coming from China, do something good with it, right? So figure out things you can do. Maybe it might take a little while to not buy an Apple product or not use Amazon. Maybe it's going to take you a little time to figure out how to do that. In the meantime, if you make orders, don't beat yourself up for that, but just go through someone else's link and support their work. You can go through our link and support our work. So look at different aspects of your life. And these are the tactics I was talking about. How we can do things in our daily life that supports the right people and supports health and the planet and things like that. So if you have an iPhone, for example, figure out ways you can use it for good. Do some research, obviously mitigate your iPhone, and the blue light that comes off of it and things like that. But make sure that you're using it for good, right? So this is kind of like the transition, right? It's like the whole thing with the Joe Biden, Donald Trump transitioning, right? Figure out a way to transition out of these big multinational, these massive corporations that are obviously, I think, part of the deep state and the cabal. So look into taking stock of your life, right? And how you can better utilize your money and your finances and your time and your energy to not support people that are not making the world a good place. Angie says, no mask has meant more Amazon. I use it. I wish I always remembered your link. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Andy. Or Angie, I appreciate that. Really interesting. Oregon's Governor Kate Brown Stain just ordered a 2-week freeze. All restaurants, bars, gyms shut down. Grocery retail supposed to run at 75% and churches 50%. My favorite is in gathering homes rules. Oh my gosh. This is what's happening, guys, and we're letting it happen. We're letting this happen. And just know that we're all here for a reason. So my current belief is that we signed up to be here at this time. Whether it was through some sort of past life or we co-conspired with God, but there's no accident that you're here living right now. And we're in a time where it's going to cause all of us to actually stand up for our rights and to make big decisions with what we're doing and how we're living and what kind of new world we're creating for our friends, for our family, and anything like that. So this is episode 677. If you guys want to grab the show links, anything I talk about, everything will be available at extremehealthradio.com/677. If you want to call up on Skype, our Skype handle is Extreme Health Radio. If you have any questions or points of topics to discuss, call me on Skype. Let me know how things are going for you and where you're located. I'd love to hear from you. Jesus is God our Savior on YouTube says, I just heard that President Trump wants every voter for him to snail mail a letter to him saying they vote for him. He wants it for more backup as he won the election. I have a difficult time with this whole election process because, as you guys know, I haven't told anybody this, but I didn't vote on purpose because I didn't feel right about it. I didn't feel right about giving away my power and to vote for essentially what's going to be our next slave master. There's a lot of people who think that Donald Trump is the savior of the world and he's working with, or he is a part of this QAnon movement. And I just don't think that necessarily is true, although I think there's some interesting points they make. But all that to say is that we're focusing on the wrong person, whether we're focusing on Biden or Trump. We're focusing on the wrong person. Like if people if you have an opinion about this and you're currently on a pharmaceutical medication, it's almost as if your opinion doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, right? Because if you're consuming a pharmaceutical drug, you almost don't get to have an opinion about this, in my opinion. You can have your opinion, of course. Everyone has an opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. But people want to do this. They want to try to cure, these big worldwide issues. We want to fix climate change, right? There's this whole thing about fixing climate change. We want to end homelessness. We want to end hunger. We want to end poverty, all these things, right? But I always advocate, instead of doing that, focus on yourself. Get off your pharmaceutical drugs if you're taking them. That will do more for the bettering the world than voting for any president. I'm telling you guys. Because you know how much money they're making on you. Like, for example, the average cancer patient is worth almost $1 million. Cancer is a $100 billion a year industry. And it's preventable. But it's too difficult to prevent that. It's just too difficult, right? We'll just chalk it up to genes, right? My mom had cancer. My dad had cancer. I'm probably going to get it. It's encoded in my genes, right? So it's one of those things where, we've been sold the germ theory. We've been sold this idea that our genes determine our health destiny. And it's one of those things where it's just simply not true. Through the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton and other people like that, looking at epigenetics and understanding that the genes are simply a response to our toxic environment, we actually have a lot more control over how we express those genes in a phenotypic light than we fully understand. And so we actually have much more power and control over what kind of health we express than people want to admit. Because if you understand that, then you realize, like, wow, I'm contributing to my own demise with every bite of food that I eat, with every amount of fake light that I'm under, with where I live and the non-native EMF. And all of these things are causing our DNA to go haywire and to shutting down the apoptosis of our cells. And we don't want to admit that because it's much easier just to say, no big deal, right? It's no big deal. I can't do anything about it. Our genes determine our genetic destiny. There's nothing I can do about it. And maybe the government will somehow find a cure for cancer. Richard Nixon thought that in 1971. And billions and billions and billions of dollars have been spent on cancer, for example, and nothing has ever been done. Cancer is not only not being cured, but it's growing at an incredible exponential rate. And yet we're concerned with this big C little v thing that is killing 0.026% of the people, of the less than 20% who are actually getting diagnosed with it. So it's ridiculous. Like, we should be focusing on heart disease and cancer rather than this made up, in my opinion, virus. So here's something that you guys can do that I recommend, and I think it's really cool. It is this Qigong course, and I haven't really talked about it too much, but check this out. This is something that you could do, like I would recommend the morning sun, getting grounded on the earth and looking at the sunrise to set your circadian pathways and releasing of your hormones through your pituitary gland by the frequencies, the UVA, B, and C frequencies that are coming from the morning sun. But you can combine this with the Qigong course. And this is really powerful course. So, I mean, this is kind of like one of those things, those practices you can build into your self-care guide that I was talking about that will help you to become a lot healthier. And check out this little clip.
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
So there's something about like a moving meditation. Meditation by itself, there's lots of different types, as you guys know. And meditation would be something that you could also build. It's a free practice that meditation is, and you can build this into your daily self-care guide as well. Once, twice a week, 10 minutes a day, whatever you see fit. But there's something about a moving meditation, and there's a reason why it's been practiced in China for thousands of years, and according to traditional Chinese medicine. And it really is a powerful practice. So what's cool about this is that you do this, and you can do it for 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, and it helps to build your essence, your chi, your life force, and protect that throughout the day. And I can't think of a better time than now to be able to protect your life force energy. That is what's been imbued to us by God himself, and protecting that and not allowing other people to steal that from us. I mean, this is a great centering practice that you could do to ground your energy. And I would recommend doing it in the morning sun. That would be even a more powerful way to do that. And they actually sell these magnets that you can stand on as well. I mean, it's a powerful course. We've done a couple shows with Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, who created this course. And if you're looking for ways to bring this healing energy back into your body, Qigong is awesome, awesome, awesome. So I highly, highly recommend that. And something else too that I haven't really talked about, other than doing one show with Dr. Marisol Tejero, is castor oil. And castor oil is one of those things. It's a magical substance. So here's something that I learned about just recently. And that is castor oil contains something called, I think it's like ricinoleic acid or something like that, ricinoleic acid. And what it does is it has this incredibly anti-inflammatory response in the body. And people talk about putting it on your face, and that's what I do. I put it on my face before bed, and you can use it every single day topically for lots of different things. But in natural health circles, we use them for more like the liver, right? So supporting the liver, rather than doing a liver cleanse, support the liver through detoxification like this. And what's cool about this is like, you can do this once a week or every single day. And we did an entire show. Let me see what show this was. It was 669, the show we did, all about castor oil and what it does and the origins of it and how it affects your tissue. But one of the coolest things is I heard Morley talking about this, that ricinoleic acid actually helps to pull iron from your tissues. So most of you guys know that the liver has 500 functions. So it should be one of the first places that we start with improving our health, right? A lot of iron gets stored in the liver. A lot of conversions of enzymes get stored in the liver. The liver is responsible for over 500 enzymatic functions in the body. So it's one of the first. It's the only organ that actually can regrow itself too. And so it's the most powerful organ in the body, and supporting it through regular detoxification is castor oil packs. So if you guys have done castor oil packs, you probably know it's like really difficult, right? It's messy. It's the oil gets everywhere. You have to lay down and stay stationary. These castor oil packs that Dr. Tejero put together are things that you can actually do a castor oil pack on and leave the oil on, and you can walk around. You can do dishes with it. You can sleep with it, and which is one of the things I love about these. And it's a really great way to add castor oil into your daily self-care practice really easily. It's quick. You don't have to, lay down and be stationary. It's awesome protocol to get into. And upregulating liver health might just be the thing that turns your entire health around. Because like I said, over 500 enzymatic functions happen in the liver. It's responsible for so many things. And just fixing your liver, it's going to be incredible. Like, for example, if your liver's not working, you're not going to make vitamin A. You're not going to have enough cholesterol to be able to utilize the rays of the sun to create vitamin D in your skin, right? If you don't have any vitamin D from the sun, if your liver's not working properly, your immunity is going to go down. I mean, it's amazing how many things the liver is responsible for. And rather than do a cleanse, why not just do something like this castor oil pack? So what's cool about it is that like this will, if you use it every single day, it'll last you for I think 3 or 4 months. But if you use it a couple times a week, it'll last for 6, 7, 8 months. You can buy it twice a year, and you can do them a few times a week. EHR10 will get you 10% off of this castor oil pack. So you get the castor oil, you get the pack, you get some instructions, and you get some really, really cool, clean castor oil in glass. It's going to be super healing for your body. So check that out. That'll be available at extremehealthradio.com/677 if you guys want to check that out. One of the first things I would do is upregulate liver function. So I've got a couple more things to talk about when it comes to minerals and light when we come back from the break. So when we come back, we're going to talk about those. And if you guys want to call up, I can spend a couple more minutes here and we'll be right back.
Extreme Health Radio is your #1 resource for cutting-edge biohacks, news, and information about how to upgrade every area of your health. Subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.
Yeah, guys, head on over to extremehealthradio.com, and there's links everywhere to join the newsletter. And I greatly appreciate that because we do let you know about our live shows that happen every Friday morning and anything. Our past shows as well. We let you know about those and everything going on. And I think we only email a couple times a week. So sign up there, and that way you can keep up to date with everything we have going on. And if we get kicked off of YouTube, if we get kicked off of Facebook, Instagram, we'll let you know where else we go. So stay tuned on our newsletter. So if you would go over there and just sign up, and it's free to sign up. And also, just a little side note is that there's a cool little offer available for those that sign up that I can't talk about publicly, but if you join, you'll be redirected to a page where I give you a cool little thing just for signing up that I kind of not at liberty to talk about publicly, but you'll see it once you sign up. So make sure to do that. And again, I'll put links to the newsletter, to the academy, to the different products we talked about, and those the castor oil. I mean, here's some things here. So castor oil. Let's see. Castor oil is a vegetable oil that is used for a wide range of cosmetic and medical purposes. It is said to have health benefits for the face and skin. It comes from the seed of the Ricinus communis plant, which is native to tropical areas of Asia and Africa. It is said to have anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, moisturizing, and some other useful properties. I love that. So it's really great for the skin of the face. Like I said, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antimicrobial. It prevents bacterial infections and keeping out microbes. It's moisturizing. So all of these things are really great. But what I think is the most powerful is the fact that it can go into the tissues and pull iron out of the tissues, especially above the liver. So this is why I'm a big fan of that. So all kinds of cool stuff going on with castor oil. So make sure to grab one of those and start sleeping with them. I mean, like you're going to sleep for 8 hours. Why not heal and restore yourself and heal your liver at the same time, right? For 8 hours a night. Pretty cool. So a couple other things that I want to kind of talk about, just really basic. And I can go into a lot more detail, but a lot of people that join the academy aren't familiar with the work that I do. And so I want to give you a couple things that you can do to really improve your health. And obviously it's going to go a lot more complex than this. But basically here's the things to focus on. You know, if you're kind of looking, there's a lot of people advocating things and it's really complex. Where do I start, right? What supplements do I take and things like this? But let me just kind of lay this little foundation for you, and you can, take that and make that the foundation, but then continue on, right? So the foundation is that we need to be able to utilize oxygen and to be able to create energy and water inside our mitochondria. So all health comes down to mitochondrial function. Okay, so we have mitochondria it's an ancient bacteria that we actually hybridize. So it's not even part of our own. It's got its own DNA. It's got its own structure. And so this mitochondria, we have anywhere from a few hundred to hundreds of thousands of mitochondria per cell, anywhere from about 3,000 to 4,000 on average. And so we have, like, for example, hundreds of trillions of cells. You can imagine the amount of mitochondria we have that we need. So basically, all health comes down to the body's ability to respirate oxygen, to be able to utilize oxygen properly, to be able to get rid of that gas and that exhaust so that we can lower inflammation, which causes all disease, right? So health comes down to mitochondrial function. So how do we upregulate that? Obviously, by reducing the amount of toxins and chemicals we're exposed to, right? So you want to make sure you're doing that. But there are some things specifically that you can do in terms of light and minerals that we're going to help improve your mitochondrial function. So the first one is to take magnesium, to start developing a magnesium protocol. Magnesium is responsible for roughly 3,752 of our 9,000 enzymes. It's about 42% of our metabolism requires magnesium to work. This is why we're all magnesium deficient, because magnesium is required from everything from blinking to turning your head to processes in your body that you don't even know are happening, all require magnesium. Okay, so what is your protocol for getting more magnesium in your body? You know, there's things like spraying the oil on your body a couple times a day, 5 sprays twice a day at least. There's magnesium-rich foods. There's magnesium supplements. There's magnesium baths. There's magnesium you can make, like magnesium bicarbonate, which is one of the things that I recommend. That's the most absorbable form of magnesium there is. So you should have a strategy for getting more magnesium into your diet. Okay, it's super important. And then the other thing is, and so like inside the academy, I help people, you know, with different products and ways to do this. So the other thing is lowering the amount of iron you're exposed to. And we'll talk about a couple things you can do for light as well. But if you could just have a strategy for building your magnesium stores in your body and your ingestion of more magnesium, really critical. So that should be, like, people want to focus on herbs, they want to focus on essential oils, they want to focus on even castor oil packs. The place to start is getting magnesium, because nothing moves the needle more than magnesium. Medicinal mushrooms are great, but they don't move the They don't move the needle as much as magnesium. That is, if you're looking at something to ingest, that's the first place to start, is magnesium. And what forms are you going to take, how often, and what protocols are you going to use to get that in your body. You can even nebulize magnesium, which we talk about in the academy as well. You can breathe that magnesium into your lungs. And so there's lots of different ways of getting it in. So having a protocol around magnesium is really important. Okay, so the other piece is the iron piece. I mentioned before that we're being inundated with excess iron. If you look at the food, everything has iron in it. So what you need to do is make sure that the food you eat doesn't contain extra iron, because we have enough iron to begin with, okay? There's no such thing as iron-induced anemia, you know. Iron's not being utilized properly by the body, okay? So like I mentioned before, regular blood donations, critical. So start looking at regular blood donations on a regular basis to get rid of that excess iron. You can do it also, many people say you can get rid of some iron through sweating, like sauna therapy and things like that, but I haven't seen the evidence for that, although I do saunas on a regular basis. So having a protocol of getting rid of iron and not bringing more iron into your body, because what it's doing is it's causing oxidation and rust. It's causing inflammation and oxidation all over the body, and we know that oxidation is the cause of all disease, right? That's the cause of disease, oxidation. So iron is oxidizing in the body because we're just storing it in our tissues. It needs to go through the recycling system. They call it the endothelial reticular something iron recycling system, to go back into your bone marrow to make new red blood cells, right? But this extra iron is getting stored in our tissues. And if you think of like a UFC fighter choking someone out, that's what it's doing to your 30 trillion red blood cells. It's choking out your ability to utilize oxygen, and it's oxidizing our tissues and our organs, causing fibrosis and all these types of things. And that's combined with like Matt Blackburn's protocol over at Mito Life Radio, great podcast. I highly recommend you listen to that. That's why the lipofuscin, the PUFAs, the polyunsaturated fatty acids combined with iron and estrogen and heavy metals, this is what's called lipofuscin, or oxidation. And so these things are building up in the lysosomes of our cell, and our cell can't get rid of that stuff. And it's causing the cell to not be able to replicate properly. And it's choking off our body's ability to deal with oxygen. So getting rid of bad rancid oils, lipofuscin, iron, all these things, you got to get rid of those out of your diet and out of the food you eat. So any polyunsaturated fatty acid is going to oxidize before you even put it in your body. And once you do put it in your body, it's going to oxidize again. Really toxic for your health, okay? So that's fish oil, that's seed oils, all of these things, get rid of those things. So bring more magnesium, regular blood donations, making sure that you're reducing the amount of polyunsaturated fatty acids in your diet and your lifestyle. Avoid taking exogenous forms of vitamin D. I don't recommend that. From the evidence I've looked at, from Dr. Jack Kruse to John Stevenson, or Joe Stevenson, I think his name is, to Morley Robbins. A lot of people are advocating vitamin D. I don't recommend that, taking that. Your liver should be functioning properly. That's why I was talking about the castor oil packs. Your liver should be functioning properly. You should be getting enough vitamin A so that you can convert those light frequencies of the sun into vitamin D. This is what should be happening through how we live our life, not the foods that we eat. So those are the things. And then also the other big thing to work on too, from a physical perspective, is your light environment and your non-native EMF. That's huge. So what does that mean? That means, like, are you exposed to indoor lighting that's toxic? This indoor lighting is incredibly toxic to our mitochondria, incredibly toxic. We have no idea what this blue light is doing to our circadian rhythms, to our hormonal levels, to our melatonin levels. People think melatonin is like this sleep hormone, but man, oh man, when you dive into that whole rabbit hole and you start learning how melatonin is the #1 anti-cancer hormone that we make exogenously or endogenously inside our own bodies, and you can't make melatonin or hold on to it, you leak it out every time you're exposed to blue light. So having a strategy for blocking blue light in your home, getting the red lights in your home, getting the red light bulbs. This is what I do in our home. We have lights, and if we have any lights that aren't red, I always have glasses on when I'm inside, protecting my eyes from the high frequency blue light that's coming off of screens. On this computer here, I have Iris running, which blocks blue light. I have filters to put over the screen, physical filters. So when the sun sets, you should be wearing orange glasses until you go to sleep. In the daytime, if you're indoors, you should be wearing the yellow glasses to protect your eyes from the blue light. Because what happens is that you're supposed to make melatonin in the morning when you wake up. And melatonin is something that you actually produce in the morning through morning UV sunlight, right? And if you think of it like a bucket full of water, every time you're exposed to blue light and non-native EMF, you're punching a hole in that bucket. And you need that melatonin not just to go to sleep that night and not just to set your circadian rhythms for the day and to feel tired for the evening, but your body doesn't start releasing that stored melatonin until about 3 to 4 hours after any exposure to light. And so if you've already diminished the amount of melatonin that you have stored up, so most people don't even get that melatonin in the morning, for one, to fill the bucket up, right? And so maybe they have a little bit of melatonin in their bucket, and then they're poking holes in it all day long with exposure to non-native EMF, to blue light in their homes, and then they go to bed and they're looking at their iPhone and they're wondering why they can't sleep or why they wake up multiple times a night. So melatonin is something that we should be protecting, like with everything we got. So having a light strategy is incredibly important for your mitochondrial function, for your melatonin production, for setting your circadian rhythms, for the release of certain specific hormones at certain times of the day. This is all predicated upon light frequencies. And we shouldn't be exposed to man-made light. Man-made light is going to be damaging to some degree. The only light that we should be exposed to is the sunlight and firelight. That's it. That's what we were biologically designed for. Right? So anytime we're around any kind of light that's not those two things, something's happening to our body and it's not good, right? So a lot of people say that over 85% of all diseases is caused by non-native EMF. And that's probably true. Dr. Doug Wallace, I think, out of the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia, said that in a speech once I saw on YouTube. So it's really important to have a light environment. So if you just focus on those 3 or 4 things, don't worry about your diet. Just try to avoid the bad oils. Don't worry about the supplements. Just focus on bringing some more magnesium in, lowering your iron levels, avoiding polyunsaturated fatty acids, and working on your light and non-native EMF environment. If you're starting out with your health, or maybe you've been into health for a long time, if you focus on those 4 things, they're going to move the needle much more than anything else. I'm telling you guys, that will help your health dramatically improve just doing those things. Then you can start adding in, I recommend the supplements over at MitoLife. My friend Matt, the vitamin E he has is incredible. He's got some great supplements that I take, and we have a coupon code. They're available in our store, biochargeme.com. But if you want to support Matt and support my work, I think there's a coupon code that you can use for 15% off. But you don't even have to worry about that. Just work on these things. Upregulate your liver. Start sweating. Start getting regular sunlight, real sun. Get rid of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Have an iron protocol to donate blood and to get rid of that iron. Start increasing your magnesium. It's like 4 things that I think would be really beneficial for your health. So I have to go now. My wife needs me. I think I'm supposed to be done right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed that show. It was kind of like a little impromptu show, but I have a lot to share with you always. As you can imagine, there's so much going on. And, I just felt like I wanted to share some of these things with you. So I hope you enjoyed it. There's so much going on that I wanted to share a lot of these things with you. And just stay grounded, guys, because this is craziness what's going on in our culture today. Absolutely craziness. I wish I could stay longer and hang out with you guys in the chat room. I know you guys are cool. I love seeing you guys here. Pirate Pete, Lou Phillips, John Robertson, Jacob, Jenna. You guys are awesome. Sky J. I appreciate you guys. Bob Dylan, so much. You guys are really, really cool. So come and join us. If you want to work with me about some of these things, I have a lot of experience, and I've been doing this since 2003 when I became a raw food vegan for 7 years, 100% raw food vegan. And I've looked and listened to and used and tried and experimented on myself for 17 years and started the show in 2012. This is 600 episodes. So I've got a lot that I can share with you guys. And if you want to work with me inside the Extreme Health Academy, I'd be happy to do that. And on top of that, you get access to that self-care guide too. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, there should be links down below to the free 14-day trial to the Academy, and you can get access to everything I talked about. And then you can come in the forums and say hello. And I just really love to work with you. That's what I thrive on. I love hearing stories like that woman who turned her health around and getting off all those medications. It really, really makes me happy. And this is how we change the world, guys. Like, this is how we do it. We don't do it by voting for some guy 3,000 miles away wearing a $5,000 suit who doesn't care about you. I don't care if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden. We don't do it that way. We do it by changing how we live our life. Every decision we make, who are we supporting? What kind of neighbor are we? Are we a happy person? Are we helping people? This is how we change the world, guys. Like, we don't do it through giving our power away. So Bob Dylan says, good show, Dr. Massey. I know, I wish. I didn't have time to change this thumbnail. I'll change it after this. But this is how we do it, guys. Like, we change it by how we change our life. This is what we have to focus on, and getting healthy. We're not going to be able to make a difference in the world if we're sick, if we're doubled over, curled up on the couch because we have stomach pain. This is not how we're going to change the world. We have to be strong. We have to be robust. We have to have really powerful health and the energy in order to better deal with what's going on in our environment. This is how we do it, guys. So think about your life and how you can take some of these things I shared today and implement them into your life, and think about how you can start working on your iron, your magnesium. You can maybe get a sauna, or maybe join the Academy and let me know how you're doing. I'll help you personally inside the Academy and on our chats on Friday morning. Like, start taking these steps, and I think it's going to be really, really beneficial for you. So I love you guys all. Protect your energy, all right? Make sure not to buy into all this craziness that's going on out there. Focus on yourself, focus on your immediate family, and focus on what you can do to become a better person and a better husband or wife, and a better son or daughter, better father or mother. Focus on yourself and how you can make the world a better place, and focus on your connection with God and with your purpose, and just let all the chips fall where they may, right? We're all here for a reason. So I love you guys so much. Thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. So thank you. All right, guys, I'll see you next Friday. I think we're going to have Morley Robbins on the show. I think he's coming up next Friday, 678. So love you all. If you're subscribed on iTunes, this will be coming out very, very soon. Thanks for the patience on that. All right, guys, love you a lot. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the Academy, hopefully. Join us, tag me in the forum, say hello, and I'm in there every single day. It's a ton of fun. So hopefully I'll see you in the Academy. Links down below for that, for a free 14-day trial. All right, guys, I love you, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only, and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use,